The Predator series has been a very, 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 and I mean very weird ride. If you don't know what the Predator movie or series is, it is a famous movie franchise that came out a long time ago that's about this alien that hunts these soldiers in the jungle. And the first one was very iconic, but in my opinion, the rest of them kind of just fell off. And nowadays, the Predator series is probably just an old relic that no one even cares about anymore because I rarely see anything new. But in 2021, a surprising new thing happened. A Predator game came out, which was very shocking because there is usually no Predator game. Now, this game was very special because it was made by the creators of Friday the 13th, the game. And that game was very successful. And I personally love that game. And I have almost 2,000 hours on the game. But yeah, that's not the topic. Now, this game was announced, and people were pretty hyped because it looked very cool. Like the trailers and everything, it looked sick. So you would think that, the game would be very successful, and it still is to this day. But sadly, no. When this game first came out, it already didn't have that many players. Like, it would take like 10 minutes to get a Predator match. And shoot, it kind of still does now, even till this day. So yeah, that really sucks. But why did Predator Hunting Grounds fall off? Or just die almost immediately? Now, the one and probably the first thing is that this game is very repetitive. There is basically nothing new that comes out, but very overpriced DLCs that just aren't worth the money. And yeah, Predator Hunting Grounds, to this day, sometimes updates the game, like very rarely. But, once in a while they'll add a new Predator, but still, it's just kind of boring. There's nothing basically new. You either play a fire team or Predator. And Predator is very much so fun compared to the fire team. So everyone usually plays Predator, and that causes the wait times to be super brutal. Like, they can go up to even an hour, which is legitimately crazy. For one match that might last 15 minutes, to wait an hour or even 45 minutes, it is very crazy, and I really think they should fix their queues. Now, personally, I've never experienced a 1 hour or 45-minute queue, but I definitely know it is possible. Now, if the queues are bad and this game is pretty much so dead, what about the game? What if the game is fun? Now, like I said before, this game is very repetitive. But that's not the topic. There's basically only two things you can do in this game. You can either play as a fire team member, or you can play as the Predator. Now, for the fire team, you just have to do missions in the jungle and escape without being absolutely murdered by the Predator. Which, trust me, it is very hard sometimes because this game is very much so Predator-sided, I would say. Now, as the Predator, you just start your hunt and you just try to kill the fire team, which is pretty much so easy, unless you're going against toxic, sweaty people who have 3,000 hours on this dang game. Now, the Predator experience is so cool and very fun. Just look at this. Like, that is scary. Tell me that is. The Predator, just gameplay in general, looks very cool. I mean, you can play as classic Predator, City Hunter Predator, and almost every single Predator from the movies. You have thermal heat vision and invisibility. You have a health bar and an energy bar and multiple weapons that you can choose for yourself, which is just, I gotta say, very cool. You have a stick that you can throw at, which is very cool and does high damage. And you can just have a bow or a rifle or a space thing or whatever you want, and it just makes the character very cool. And yes, even though it is repetitive, you gotta admit, playing this hulking beast alien thing is very much so badass. Now, playing as the other side, the fire team, as what they call it, is pretty much boring, if you ask me. It's very mediocre and very, very unfair. Like, you can either be a god at fire team and absolutely annihilate the Predator, or get absolutely destroyed by the Predator. There's no in between, and that's what makes it very boring. It's very repetitive playing as the fire team, because as the Predator, at least you have different weapons. But with the fire team, you just have different guns, and they're just all the exact same, basically. And you have this overpowered knife that does a bunch of damage. And it's very boring most of the time. It's basically just like playing Call of Duty, except if Call of Duty was trash, and, Predator was just the enemy. And it is very boring. And I think Fireteam had a bunch of potential because in the first movie, they really made it look fun. So I feel like they could have implemented something from the first movie into the game. So, is Predator Hunting Grounds a good game? If I had to be honest, I would say kind of. Or like a 6 out of 10. It's not that bad with friends, but it's pretty boring when you're just playing it by yourself. Subscribe.